What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and we are streaming on multiple platforms today. We have Twitch going, we have X going, we have the TrueDFS YouTube channel. I have the Sheets YouTube channel. Everything's kind of going today. And again, it's Monday. I think I'm doing the solo today. I think Bobby is either outside of connection or just overall just kind of living the Bobby dream in his vacation or whatever he's up to. If Cruz shows up, great. If Adam shows up, great. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through all three of the sports that we have going tonight. That's going to be hockey and NBA and NFL Showdown. Yesterday, as you guys may or may not know, I was in that WFFC championship on FanDuel. It was a weird build I ended up using. I actually ran very lucky fashion. I had some of the Raiders with the Giants defense, which obviously worked out really, really well. The build just kind of worked out for me that way. Something I don't usually do. I ended up getting like 30th or something like that, which was better than I could have gotten considering I had Etienne and a couple of other lemons in the other position. So good for that. Overall, not the greatest day, but I certainly have no right to complain considering how hot I've been running for the last several lifetimes, but specifically the last couple of weeks, I've been doing extraordinarily well. Hopefully we continue this as we close out the year. All right, so I guess the first thing that I want to do is just hockey, just because it's easiest. I have all the projections done and whatever. So just to kind of show you what I'm doing here, I am going to share my screen, and then we'll just kind of get moving. Let's see, share screen. Okay. I mean, I guess I could show you the raw projections if this helps, but as we've gone over, it's not so much the projections, but how you build that's going to determine how well you do. But may as well open them up just to kind of flex to see what we're looking at here. So on an individual player basis, I don't see any real big value showing up. I mean, the closest thing I can come up with is maybe Landeskog for Colorado at 4,900. Maybe pair him with some of the other Colorados. Usually, you're looking for something really, really cheap in this top 10 or 15 ranked player list here. So I guess Tolvanen from Seattle looks pretty good, and Seattle's been very, very good to me, to say the least, the last several weeks. Maybe I'll end up with that. Noah Hannafin for Vegas, but nothing really stands out as a very viable stack from a hand building perspective. So it is going to be one of those slates where I'm going to have Saberson just kind of do its thing. So, thanks for the question here. If you were hand building using your sheets for NFL Showdown, who would your low on captain be? Good question. We'll go over that, I guess, when we get to NFL. But again, I have to do this kind of in order here. All right, so let's just go ahead and pull up SaberSim. First, let's get rid of all these sheets, and we'll just build the hockey, and then we'll get right into the NBA and right into the NFL, whatever. Elvis Merziklin's is out. Okay, so it's not particularly earth-shattering news, but it is what it is. And again, feel free to fire off any of the comments as well. So the good thing is all the goalies seem to be confirmed, except for this Nashville spot. No big deal. So again, regardless of whether you're going to use my projections or Goldie's or your own or whoever you subscribe to, I've been extraordinarily successful with this new kind of tweak of only playing these big stacks, that being nothing but 6s, 5 2s, and 4 3s. And it is a little greedy, but as I've said for years now, I still don't think that the optimizers or even SaberSim fully account for the level of correlation that exists in hockey. So for me, I'm not going to play these one-off type builds unless I absolutely have to, and I almost never absolutely have to. The only time I would ever even get to them is if you're in a really small slate, which is like maybe 3 games or something. And I probably wouldn't even play the 3-game slates at all. So first thing as you'll see me do is I will require only 6s, 5 2s, and 4 3s. And I will do that pre-flop, meaning that what I used to do is build my entire pool of lineups and then kind of pare it down. But again, Adam and I Adam Perry, by the way, from the site. He and I have been going back and forth on this for a long time. And about 6 months ago, I sort of capitulated and agreed that if I wasn't going to play these stacks anyway, what does it matter whether I X them out before I make my full build or after? So it may as well just go ahead and just make my full build. So we're going to see what this ends up getting. And one of the reasons I don't have any problems with, I don't know, with showing what my build is going to look like is I do use the portfolio manager setting from SaberSim. And what that does is it takes into account the specific contests I'm playing and the specific exposures as far as money goes that I'm playing. So even if you guys wanted to use the exact same projections and the exact same processes, you know, if you use the portfolio diversification mode, it's not going to give you the same type of stuff it gives me, because it's going to, you know, if it's doing its job, it's going to tailor your portfolio to what you're playing, as opposed to what I'm showing you, which is a construct describing what I'm playing. So this is just the total process that I'm going to show you, and you'll see that I have 2 games at 7 o'clock, 2 games at 7:30, 1 at 8. So I'll probably be able to late swap between 8 and 9. We do see one guy is out. We're going to have to take a look at that, but let's see what we end up getting here just for funsies. See 20,000 lineups being built. And in hockey, that's just not a lot at all. They're just, think about it. I mean, hockey, it's not just the 5 guys on the ice. There's like 18 eligible players pretty much, like in hockey, that's going to be on the ice, opposed to the NBA where you're really going to have 9. So NHL, you are going to get a lot of combinations in your lineups. All right, so the first thing I have to do is I have to click on templates here to make sure that it makes specific lineup groups for each contest that I'm in. This way it doesn't duplicate lineups across multiple contests. And the SaberSim, you know, contest simulator, which we all pay a lot for, is it's being used properly. So again, what this is going to do is it's going to take the 20,000 lineups and it's going to simulate them against my 3 contests, which are being the Top Shelf, the Overload, which is the lottery, as well as the Poke Check. And then presumably give me the lineups that fit best with each contest. And again, the way this works is you look at the order of things from top to bottom. And let's say there was a lineup that was going to sim well against in all 3 of these contests, that we're prioritizing where that lineup is going to go. So like, let's say, so the risk you run by doing this is, let's say there was a lineup that rated to be the best lineup in Poke Check, but it also rated to be the best lineup in Top Shelf. You would get it in Top Shelf, but you would not get it in Poke Check. And that's just something you just live with. And that's why, you know, we rank these things in a certain way. Now, I think the default that SaberSim gives you is your entry fee. That's the one that puts up at the top. It's not the overall exposure. So like, for example, Overload, I'm in for 1,000, but it's not rated higher than Top Shelf because each individual lineup is only $20. Now you could flip around here. You can go up and down, and then if you really want to get your best lineups in the Poke Check, you could do that. But I had to do that actually yesterday because my big buy-in on FanDuel was listed as a 0 because it was technically a custom contest, but it was my most important lineup, so I had to move that one to the top. Okay, let's see. So now it's already simmed everything. Now it's just diversifying the exposures. And now we're going to save these, and we're just going to put these in. Again, the work's done pre-flop. The work is done like making sure the projections are good, making sure the tweaks are good, and making your decisions on how we want to incorporate the stacks. I don't really like to even look to see what my exposures are because it all end up doing is biasing me. But might as well take a look. The other thing to remember is that I am going to probably late swap, so these things could change. So right now, just so we see, as far as team stacks, looks as though Vegas we're getting the most of, and you know I love these late night hammers. So Vegas and San Jose, again, it's going to be these guys that are going to be up sweating, and Seattle. So these are my favorites. These are always my favorite teams to play anyway, so I'm glad that we're getting to those. All right. Let's now move on to the NBA. Let me just double check before I look at the NBA if there's any news that has come across my wires. Let's see. Doesn't look like it. It says Alex Sarr and Trey Johnson will remain on a minutes limit. I think that is already been factored into the projection. Colin Murray-Boyles remains in. And here's the thing about the NBA. We're going to go through like some of these dudes, and the top-rated guys as far as point per dollars might be guys you've never heard of. We'll just take a look at it. It's just as well. I mean, we don't really care who they are. It's just guys we're betting on. All right, so here are the DraftKings sheets here, and let's just sort by point per dollar. And look at these guys that are over 6x. You have Muhammad Gay, who we have played before. I have literally no idea who Ozo Ighodaro is, or Asa Newell. So I guess the entire Atlanta Hawks team is out. So that's why this is happening. So Risha Shea is only 3,800. And then Krejci, 3,500. So we're probably going to end up getting a ton of all that. Like these ownership numbers, they have to be terrible. I mean, how can you get all these 6x guys and nobody over 25%? That's just not going to be the case. As a matter of fact, I mean, let's take a look. Let's take a look at just the Saber Sim, even their ownership projections. Let's see. They've got to be higher than mine, right? I mean, how can these projections be any good? Look at these. Like even, the 38, 36. I guess these are higher, but still it's not that much higher. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So let's just kind of build here. But before we want to have some fun, we'll see who we're expecting to see. So again, Gay, Ighodaro, Newell, Krejci, and all of that to get to like these guys, like maybe Jokic at 13. I don't know if we could afford him, but Booker at 87, Cat, like all three of these guys, I think are going to be very, very popular. Towns, Booker, Murray. I'm totally expecting to get all of those along with those real cheapos. Can I get to 13K Jokic? I don't know. We're going to see. And we'll do that in a second. First of all, let's take a look at FanDuel real quick. Let me see if there's anything real different here. Same guy. Oh, Watson shows up a little more. Champagne shows up a little bit more. There's a little bit of a difference here, but this Ighodaro from Phoenix remains very strong. And then as far as spend ups, again, Cat, Murray, Booker, same deal. So let's just take a look. And again, same process. We'll just take a look and see what we have here. These are the DraftKings things I'm playing. And you'll see, first of all, in the contest tabs, you'll see I'm playing 60 in the fadeaway and 1 in the alley-oop, just for a little bit of context. And we will upload our projections here. And again, the NBA is very, very difficult. I had a big score the other day on Christmas, and part of the reason why I was able to do that was I was able to, stick around all day and night and late swap and this, that, and the other thing, which is just what you need to do in the NBA. It's just very, very hard. It's by far the toughest sport to play DFS wise. So even what we're building now may not even resemble what we get later, except for the fact that actually Atlanta even is not till 8 o'clock. So I imagine this is where all our ownership is going to come from. Where's Phoenix? They play right there at 7. So you're probably going to have to take some stance with all these Phoenix guys pretty early. So let's just take a look. We'll build again full 20,000 lineup sets. And I can't imagine we do not get, over 50% of Ighodaro, Gay, Krejci, maybe. But I really think that the Booker and the Towns are going to be where we go. I don't think Jokic is going to get that high of representation in our portfolio. But we were going to take a look at it. And then we have this. I want to run some Showdown stuff. Let's see something. Did I do this already? No, I did not. Oops. What is this? We gotta do. I gotta change this. Okay. Okay, process is just completely the same. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, what's going on here? 1 second. Yeah, I'm trying to manage the projection sets as well as the builds in a minute. Let's do this, and then we'll do this. Okay. All right, so again, same thing. We have to hit templates and do 1 group per contest. And now it's starting to sim. And again, it's just 61 lineups we're dealing with. We're going to, again, rank the alley-oop at the top. So if there's a lineup that's going to show up in the alley-oop and the fadeaway, it's going to prioritize the alley-oop. And I'm going to guess, well, I'm almost guaranteeing you that the guys I mentioned, Booker, Ogadoro, Krejci, Gay, Towns, that's the thing about the NBA. I mean, like, you just can't get that different from these projections. You have to have good projections and build with some degree of subtlety, but not a lot. My dog agrees. Okay. Sims were built at 6:02. Download these, upload, and then we'll see who we ended up with. We're just going to confirm that this is who we got. So again, the NBA is really about having good projections and having the diligence to be around a late swap. And the reason for that is the late swapping takes into account the actual ownership that these guys have already put up on the board. And not only that, but the actual points these guys have put up on the board. So let's see. Let's see what we got here as far as exposures. Ready? Here we go. What a surprise. Exactly the guys I mentioned, except that I was able to get up to Jokic more than I thought I was going to be able to do. So that's very interesting. Okay. So Denver, Phoenix, Atlanta, CJ McCollum. That's interesting. We do get 34% cat. So that looks like a good place to start. Let's take a look at, okay, let's take Johnny Fish's question. How do you handle late swap in your intensive pre-slate process, or do you late swap on platform, on Sabre? Good question. I unfortunately don't usually have the time to run full custom projections late into the evening. But so I will kind of default to the Sabre Sim projections if it's just a couple of games left. Technically, you should keep running new projections. But Sabre Sim updates them a lot better and faster than I would. So here's the thing. Like, in my pre-flop projections, I'll put mine over, I mean, anybody's really. In my pre-flop ownership projections, I'll put mine pretty much over anybody's. But once we get into the slate, it's really hard. So I am going to rely usually on Sabre Sims to for the late swap portion of it. All right, let's go to FanDuel, and let's do the same thing and see what happens. And here we're playing 150 in the shot and 1 in the monster. And I wonder if we get those other guys that now you'll notice, by the way, that I'm also not replacing their contest fields with my own. For those of you that see me do other sports, sometimes I will replace the SaberSim's contest fields with my own, but not in all sports. And I might do in basketball sometimes, but only if there's not a lot of late swapping to be done. Like if I could just lock in, there'll be 5 games, and I'll just put my ownership projections and field projections up against anybody's, I will. But the way it changes throughout the night, it's very difficult to do that with the NBA. And it's also very difficult to do in NHL and baseball because of the way correlation works. Same with football. MMA, I'll do it. NASCAR, I'll do it. Tennis, I'll do it. And some basketball slates, I will do it, but not this one. So let's see what we're going to get on FanDuel. Let's check something out here. Good. And same thing, we go templates. 1 group per contest. And you see it show up here, right? Monster and NBA shot. And then you see it's in portfolio plus mode. I just reran the projections for football, so we are going to get to that in a minute. We're going to look at a couple of ways to do this, but let's first just do it this way. So run contest sim. Well, we'll take care of NBA first. And I will show you my projections. And I will get to your question, by the way, that you asked earlier about the low-owned, maybe hand-built guy in the Showdown slate and captain. I definitely don't think I'll mind getting to that like 6% Parkinson in the captain. That looks a little low. I'll probably end up with more of that. I'll get to that probably in about 10 minutes. And again, Showdown's a little bit more difficult, but the good news is Sabres have gotten a lot better with their dupes. They're not giving me as many high duped lineups as they have in the past. Just as I'm starting to get my own anti-dupe formulas kind of honed in here. Okay, so we did this. Let's save as all. And then we'll check and see what our exposure in FanDuel looks like. Okay. FanDuel up. Okay, and let's take a look and see what we got. So in FanDuel, I imagine just like DraftKings, actually more Jamal Murray and actually more Justin Champagny, who's really busted hard the last couple of games. So, yeah, it's going to be a little scary to click this, but I think we kind of have to. And it's going to be an early game. So as they would say, early exit. Okay, let's take a look now at the football game, and that's Rams and Atlanta. Just want to make, I presume that London is playing. If he's out, then I think we'll find out about that, in a little while. Then obviously things are going to change. Let's take a look at, first of all, the projections that I have, if that matters. and then I'll show you what I think I want to do with them. So I'm talking myself through this. Here's just the name of the player. Here is their projected fantasy points. And you'll see that I have all these guys that rate to barely play, if at all, in here just because it's Showdown. And God forbid they actually get in the game and do something. I mean, it's going to be really, really big. Here's the ownership. Now, just so you guys know, if you ever read my sheets before, this is the flex ownership specifically. And it adds up to almost 500. I guess I'm a little over maybe a guy or two. That's fine. And the captain ownership specifically, they are at 100. So you know that it's good. Now this number, this is the DFS ID, and this is a standard deviation number. And I use that only when I use Ace Mind to help with the builds. So I am going to use both Saber Sim and Ace Mind just to kind of show you like the different, how it would look differently. So I'm playing 150 in the lottery. I'm playing 20 in the play action and a couple of big buy-ins. So let's just run these. So let's put our projections up in here. Okay. We'll just do this first, and then we'll go here. Good. Let's make sure we got captain here. Okay. So again, we're not going to replace the contest fields with our own. We're just going to but we are going to use our projections. And that gets us a little bit different. And I'm just curious to see what we get when we use their contest fields. Okay. We're accepting that SaberSim does a better job at building contest fields to sim our lineups against than we would. Now, at the same time, maybe not at the same time. It's going really, really fast. Okay, so let's do this. One group per contest, same as before. So you see the 4-point stance, the Wildcat, and the Spy. Those are the 3 big buy-ins. And then again, same thing. Like if there's a lineup that's going to do well in all of them, the lottery ones is going to be the last. Those going to be the last ones to get it. And again, you could change that, But the thing is, there really shouldn't be a lineup, really, that you would want to play in the 4-point stance that you'd also want to play in the lottery anyway. So it doesn't really make too much of a difference. So here's one thing I want to check on. So let's first. So we are going to use the portfolio diversification mode, which I don't really like too much for Showdown, just because I think it gets me too much chalk. I mean, I like to just go straight ROI for Showdown, because when you go with Portfolio Manager, it gives you some chalk to offset the non-chalk. It treats it as a portfolio, and I guess that makes sense. But in Showdown, I mean, you're really trying to just hit the big one. You know what I mean? It's not like Classic. I mean, Classic, yes, you want to hit the big one too, but if you get like a 30 dupe lineup in Showdown, even if it's to hedge against something else, you don't even want it. So I'm probably going to go straight ROI here. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So first we're just going to do it straight. We've already simmed it. It's already assigned it to the right contest. First we're going to save it. And the reason why is I do think that this is the best way to get my big buy-in lineup set. So we're going to first use this whole process to give us the big buy-ins. And then we're going to do some funny business with the lotteries. Okay. So first things first. What do we do with the lotteries here? Let's go back to build 5 here, and instead of using the lines that we saved into our contest, we're going to click this button here, and we're now going to look at the full spreadsheet. of all the lineups that we built. And all I want to do is I want to actually just take the top 150 ROI lineups. Okay. And fortunately, if you look here, it already lists them this way in column AD. Actually, that's play action. Sorry. The one I want is this one, not the Wildcat. Hold on. Where is it? Is it this one? AN? This is the Monday Night Showdown. So we want this one. We want it sorted by AN. So let's data, filter, and then we'll sort this by AN. So now we're sorting this by straight ROI, okay? And you see that all these lineups have very, very low geo means. And we've done this geo mean filtering before, and you know, this looks pretty unique. You know, this looks like the type of stuff that I would probably want. So I think I'd rather opt for these than using a portfolio method. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these, we're going to replace these, but only in the lottery. We'll use the play action as is. We'll use the, you know, the big buy-in as is. We're just going to change the lotteries, and then we are going to take a look and see what we end up with, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so again, what we did is we used our projections. We used the SaberSim contest simulator using their contest fields. And then we resorted just by straight ROI. And then what we'll do is let's, I want to upload this back to SaberSim so that I can see what my exposures are. Okay, that would be right. 1 second right here. Yes, I'd like to continue. And then we're all over here. So now we'll go back to contests. And then answer your questions. What are some of my captain's exposures here, right? So here I have Puka #1, then Drake London #2, then Kyle Pitts. But I do have like a little bit, 9% Kyron Williams, 2% Cousins, and then like 1% of all these Bow Wows. So overall, it looks like pretty standard, honestly. But, you know, it's 20% Pitts captain, maybe Kyron Williams kind of low owned. And what about flex? Flex, you have a big amount of ownership in Parkinson, Mumfield, Pitts. So it doesn't look like anything is that off the wall here. You know, I'm getting a couple of guys that may not play. That's just kind of the way it goes sometimes with Showdown. Listen, if they're going to be inactive, I'll take them out, whatever. But this is a good place to start. So, but just for the hell of it, okay. Let's go to another site that I use sometimes. And again, you know, that's the thing about what I do here. Very full transparency. Okay. Let's go to AceMine's site, and what they do a little differently, they actually require you. Well, actually, they don't. You could use their projections, but the real impact of this is that you can upload your own projections here, and it will customize the fields based on the input that you put in. So if you do your own numbers, this is actually a pretty cool site to run sims. And the other thing what's kind of cool, first of all, we'll keep all these defaults the same. See this thing saying 5 generations? So what this is going to do, oh, I got to tell what contest to run to. So what this is going to do is it's going to simulate the fields, but it's going to create 5 different fields to simulate against, as opposed to SaberSim, which just takes 1. Now, again, like it sims it, 100,000 times or whatever, but if I'm not mistaken, the fields are somewhat static. Whereas AceMind, based on the numbers that you provided, one of them being, remember I mentioned this earlier, you have to provide the standard deviation of the point projections. Okay, that's very, very important. It's a very important input to get AceMind to do what it wants, what it's supposed to. So it's going to run field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4, field 5. What I could do while that's running, just for funsies, is we could go into the PayDirt Portfolio Manager, because this is what we're going to do here. So what this is going to do is I'm going to upload the lineups that I just created with SaberSim, for example. I have to save them in a certain way. So where are those? Let's go back to where was that file with all these lineups that I was in? Okay, it was these. So let's get rid of this. Boom. And let's just take these top 150. These are the ones that we put in, right? And take out all the others. So let's go shift and shift, boom, get rid of that. And we're going to call this PayDirt Monday, I guess. The PayDirt SaberSim Monday. We'll deal with that in a second. So what we'll do is we go back here and we're going to load the salaries straight from PayDirt. We'll even use the PayDirt projections. Doesn't really matter for this purposes. And then what we'll do is we will upload our lineups that we just made, that SaberSim one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put manage portfolio. And we're not going to really like analyze these things. What we're going to do, sometimes I'll analyze them. Like it says, oh, these dupes look pretty good. Some of these are 25 dupes. We're not going to deal with that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to download the portfolio here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 150 and then I'm going to add in the Ace Mine 150, and then we're going to figure out which of the 150s to put in. So we're going to hold on to these for a minute. We're going to call these PayDirt Converted. We're going to get on that in a second. Let's take a look and see how our Ace Mine is proceeding here. It's getting a little slow, but that's okay. We're going to continue to do this. So we could look at this a little bit. Like you see, the geo means look pretty decent. But again, it's using what it's using is the SaberSim is PayDirt's ownership projections, where I could go ahead and put my own in. It's a little bit hard, but we'll do it. We'll do that a different time. All I want to do is I want to use what's called their diversity score. Because what I want to do is I want to accept that I want to take 150 from Ace Mine and 150 from SaberSim. I'm going to add those. But in the meanwhile, maybe we'll run the FanDuel one while that's happening. Okay, let's see. FanDuel was struggling for a while earlier today. Let me see if that kind of fixed itself. Otherwise, like I said, we could just go back and use where'd that go? It's FanDuel. FanDuel one. Ownership is no good. Let's put this over here and see. Yeah, so we could use our projections and their ownership, and let's just build FanDuel's. Take a look. Okay, so Ace Mine again, it's a little slow. EA2, you said I mean NHL. I don't know what the first question was. I'm only seeing one question from you. You'll have to back up to see the NHL analysis. I already did it. So you have to rewind. I did NHL first. While this is going on, though, I can certainly check NBA to see if there's any new news coming in here. I don't see anything that's worth particularly. So we were simulating build 5. But NHL, my top stacks were at the end. Was at San Jose, Vegas, kind of the late night hammers. While this is going on, maybe I will try to get my. Not here. Where would that? file be that I could create my, hold on. Okay. Data filter. Let's do it by median, I guess. And then here. Let's see if I can do something with this portfolio manager. Let's go back to clear data, just for the hell of it. We'll load this from the portfolio database. Oops, we have to clear data. We have to then we have to upload data, right? So here, SHOWDOWN, load from PayDirt database. Clear data. I want to upload data, right? Oh, data load. Okay. Load from PayDirt database. Let's see if we can do this from our, oh, not that one. I want to use for my own projections. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to work. But we'll try it. Here. I just want to see what this looked like in a minute. Let's go back to the same file I did before with the SaberSim ones. Converted? No, I don't want converted. I just want this. Let's see if this worked. Let's see. Yeah, so it did work. Okay, so you'll see now when I'm looking at my own projections, ownership projections. Yeah, some of these are maybe have the dupes are a little bit high, but again, I'm only loading 150. So I'm not worried too much about it. All right, so here, so all the ace mine stuff kind of came through here. And you'll see, look at some of these funky captains here, Parkinson's and such. So why don't we go ahead and take 150 of these bad boys, okay? And we'll export these. And then we'll add these to that other file of the converted ones that we had before, remember? So let's take these. So we're going to add the Ace Mine ones to the SaberSim ones, and then we have to figure out like which of these 300 we're going to use, right? So let's first save as, and we're going to put combine SHOWDOWN combined. Meanwhile, we can't forget that we have FanDuel running here. So let's see that. Hold on, FanDuel. Got time? Oh, plenty of time. Dinner's not for another 15 minutes. Oh, never in doubt. So FanDuel is almost not quite done. What we're going to do while that's happening is we're going to go back here, clear data, and then data load. And then we are going to put our pricing model from the PayDirt database. We are going to again use our projection files. And that would be here. And then we will use this new file here of our lineups, but we're going to use DraftKings name plus IDs because we converted them. SHOWDOWN combined. And now we're going to manage all of these. So now we have 300 lineups, okay? And we're going to download them. And now we have to figure out which one of these to use, you know? So one thing we could do is we could kind of like sort these by dupes, right? I mean, this is kind of a nasty state of affairs, you know? But the thing is the geo means look very low, so I think these dupe numbers are probably kind of off. So yeah, we're going to stick with this, but the way we're going to sort these is this weird metric that Pater provides. Not weird, but this thing called diversity. And the diversity score basically takes all 300 of these lineups and says, okay, what's the top 150 given, to make sure one is not like the other, so to speak. So that's one way you could do this. The other way you could do this is this thing called lineup edge. And lineup edge is probably the most aggressive of them all. Okay. So what we can do if we want is we could go into a diversity score, come back into here, and make sure we don't have the worst, the worst 10%. So we'll take these out. Oops. Do this. And then we can go back into lineup edge and make sure we don't have the worst 10 of these. 10%. So we'll get rid of these. Oops. Let's not forget about FanDuel. Get rid of these. And now we have like 240 good lineups to choose from. And now it's just a question of how we want to rate these. Now, again, just on principle, even though these dupe counts are not really that great because we're only comparing them to like 150-ish, 300 lineups, not a whole contest field. But may as well take out the bottom 10% as far as pure dupes go. So let's take out this one down to this one. Boom. And at this point, now we can finally probably just sort by median because we've done a pretty decent enough job of factoring everything else out. So let's take these 150. Boom. Come back into DraftKings. I think that's a good combination of processes. Have very, very good luck messing around like this. So we will see how this works. And now, again, I will show you what I have, but, at this point, you just have to trust our inputs. But let's just see. Let's put this in. And then we'll go back into before I forget this is not even quite diversified yet. Wow. Well, there you go. So let's put these FanDuel ones in. NFL. And again, the real question, obviously, is what does any of this have to do with football? The answer is 0, obviously. What does this have to do with sports? Obviously 0. But what does this have to do with making money? Everything. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we ended up with in the showdown. Hopefully this can answer the questions. Well, it didn't answer the question about what to do if we hand built. I think that the answer to the question of if you were hand building, who would the low-owned captain be, I think would probably be Parkinson. That would be a fair assessment. So let's see what we ended up with after all that. And again, we might do London might get ruled out after all of that. So who knows? But yeah, so Bijan, London. Look at this. Only 8% Parkinson. Okay. But I think that we did a decent enough job kind of messing around with all these metrics where I'm kind of content with what we have. Let's take a look at some of the questions. Any actual takes on the game? Sure. The Rams are favored, so they're probably going to win. Now, I really don't have any takes on the game. Obviously, I think the Rams certainly do need to win, right? So they want to move up the ladder a little bit, but it's not like they can get a really great seed. So I don't know. I do think Atlanta's kind of live here. So I think Bijan and London and Pitts, I think, can all have a good game. I think you've been able to move the ball against the Rams, so I am expecting kind of a high-scoring game if that matters. So we shall see about that. You want me to upload the hockey projection? Sure, that's no problem. We'll do that right now. Thank you for the update. Thank you for the nudge there. Let's put this up here. This is really behind the scenes stuff. You'll see me go to the Google Drive and literally upload the projections. And you'll be seeing some changes at TrueDFS probably after the first of the year. See what happens, then it'll go straight on up, and you'll be able to see them alongside of Goldies and Saber Sims. 1 sec, let me just take one more check to Discord to see if there's any news that hopefully there's not. Nope, looks all pretty good. Suns are starting Gillespie, Booker, Brooks, O'Neal, and Iguodaro, as we thought. And the Wizards are going to start Jameer Watkins. So maybe that is something I need to look at. Hold on. Let's go back. Yeah, I want to go back to the NBA here, because if in fact Champagne, let's see what his projection now is given this new news. Let me just see something. Given the new starters, maybe I have to rebuild everything, and I'm not going to do a whole new set of projections. I don't have time at 6:37. What I can do is at least replace the I can at least replace the Washington guys. So here, I'm getting the same. This looks to be the same projections here. Watkins, 12 instead of 10. Yeah, so not a real difference. I'm not too worried about it. And that's pretty much all I got. All right, any other questions here? Nope, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, good luck, everybody. I thought I was not going to be around tomorrow, but I think I will be around tomorrow.